Hi guys, welcome back to your daily Spurred On podcast with me, Barnaby Slater. Thank you so much for watching and listening so far. Don't forget, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, say, you can also watch on YouTube at Barnaby Slater _ and vice versa. Go and find it at all your favourite podcast platforms. It's called the Spurred On podcast. But let's get going. It's Wednesday, so that's going to mean transfer gossip day. I'm going to start with a rumour of a transfer out from Spurs, according to the Gazzetta dello Sport in Italy, and that's Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg. This is an interesting one for me because obviously he's not getting many minutes for Spurs at the moment. A lot of fans have been saying for a few years now, Hojbjerg is the problem for us in central midfield. He doesn't play it forward enough, he plays it too sideways and too backwards, and it has to be said that since Ange has come in, that has kind of become clear that he's not really rated by Ange to start in the first 11 and has obviously been superseded by Pat Matasar, James Maddison obviously going forward, and Yves Bissouma, who is, to me, the key to our midfield at the moment. So Pierre is on the outside a little bit, coming off the bench. Now, what I do want to say is every single time he's come off the bench for Spurs this season, I've been incredibly impressed. I've always wondered about Pierre because for Denmark, when he plays a lot more kind of forward thinking, scores quite a lot of goals. And of course he did score that amazing goal against Marseille away in the Champions League for us last season. So he is capable. And it seems to me like it's possible that under Jose and Conte, he was asked to be, the number 6, the building blocks of midfield, and not really told to do anything more than just sit in front of his back 3 or back 4, depending on which manager it was. And yeah, so every time he's come on for Ange, he's kind of changed the game a little bit, and he's been impressive. And I wonder if there's a chance for him to stay at Spurs. It's only going to be another injury or two in central midfield, and he'd be starting. But the rumour that is in the Gazzetta dello Sport is that he will be going to Juventus for £28 million this January. That's to say that if Juventus can stump up £28 million, then Tottenham would be willing to accept that money and let Pierre leave. For me, it's got to be dependent on whether Bentancur recovers well from his ACL injury. He's due back, I think, in the next few weeks. He's been training. Ange Postecoglou said he's been battering down his door, saying, can I play? But they're being very careful with him, and rightly so. And ACL injuries can be difficult to come back from. So, if Bentancur comes back and is at the level that he was before his injury, then yeah, I think it's possible we can let Hojbjerg go, because we've got then Bentancur back in to come in, and obviously Oliver Skipp, who I personally think can do pretty much everything that Hojbjerg can do. But if Bentancur is struggling or we get another injury, I would be a little reticent to let him go in January. The second rumour I want to talk about is the Portuguese attacking midfielder Jota. Previously at Celtic, playing under Ange Postecoglou, scored a lot of goals for them. A really talented player. He moved from Celtic for £25 million to the Saudi League, to Al Ittihad. And then, unfortunately for him, because they have a foreign players quota over there, he wasn't chosen to be registered for their Saudi Pro League squad. So he's over there kind of training. He's had a bit of an injury, but he's not allowed to play any games. He, to me, would be a great signing. If we can get him for anywhere between 15 and 20 million pounds, get him in, because he can be the backup to James Maddison. Very similar player, quick feet, bit of pace as well, can beat a man. Also, he has an unbelievable strike, both from open play, but also he's a great free kick taker. So at the moment, we know we're kind of slightly nursing Maddison through a bit of an injury, and he's getting some bad tackles because opposition teams know that he is the key to our play. Gio Lo Celso, I'd say, is the backup for him at the moment, but he's been injured again, does get injury prone, and also we've never really seen him consistently play brilliantly in the Premier League. So, Jota, Ange knows him, really good player, potentially available at a decent price. I'd be tempted to get him in. Not only, as I said, is he, has a great strike and a good free kick taker, he's also willing to get in behind, a bit like Maddison did for that goal at Bournemouth. I've seen lots of games where he's got in behind and scored goals there, and is also a great back post finisher from that attacking midfielder role. He loves getting in those pockets, loves getting his foot on the ball. Flair player, another flair player like we needed at Spurs for years. We got Maddison, we could do with another one. I say get him in. He's only 24 years old, got a good technical background, started at Benfica before going to Celtic, did brilliantly at Celtic. I know the Celtic fans love him. Great finisher. I would get him in. The next rumour is a Mexican player called Santiago Gimenez. He's 22 years old and he plays for Feyenoord in Holland. He's a striker. He is a big number 9. Bit of a lump, actually. Like, really tall, holds it up well, good in the air, and a good finisher. He has scored, 25 and 39 for Feyenoord since being at the Dutch club, and only 4 in 20, though, for Mexico, which is, I don't know. Haven't watched much international football watching Mexico, so I can't really comment on that. What I would say is, it can be a bit of hit and miss buying players from Dutch clubs. For every, Ruud van Nistelrooy, there's a Matthijs Kesman or, dare I say it, a Vincent Janssen. This one seems interesting to me because obviously we bought Valise this summer and he came on off the bench against Liverpool, and he's another kind of number 9 target man and is younger. So would us buying this player from Holland kind of block his pathway? I'd be a little bit worried about that. But maybe, I wonder if we're rumoured to be interested in him because we're looking for options at the bench at the moment. Lots of people have spoken since the Liverpool game about how there weren't brilliant attacking options off the bench. And maybe that's why he's looking for that. We're looking for that kind of player. He's a left footer. As I say, from everything I've seen of him, when he gets in behind or he gets a chance, he's a good finisher. He gets in the right little places. He sniffs out a goal. But I don't know. I don't think he's the next Harry Kane for us. And I would be very surprised if that deal came through. Another rumour that's doing the rounds again, Edmond Tapsoba from Leverkusen. We were linked with him very heavily this summer. In fact, I'd say we were kind of almost sure we were going to get him at one point, but then Van der Ven kind of seemed to supersede him, and we put the money on Van der Ven instead. Tapsoba in January, I think it could make sense. We do need another centre-half, just in case one of Romero and Van de Ven get injured. He's highly rated, has done really well for Leverkusen, who are having an amazing season again under Xabi Alonso. And if the possibility of a deal is there, I know he was rumoured to be potentially signing a new contract a few months ago. That could potentially be to make sure that a kind of transfer fee number, kind of minimum fee release clause is put in there. And if we're willing to meet that, if that is in there, then I think it would be a shrewd move in terms of getting depth into the squad going forward. Be interesting to see this January whether Daniel Levy is, let's say we're in the upper echelons of the league doing better than we expected to do. Will he be willing to push the boat out a little bit and provide some money for depth in the squad? Interesting. I'm not sure. We'll see. But it seemed like we spent, the 100 million we got for Harry Kane last year and about 50 to 75 million more, in the summer. But that feels to me like there should be a little bit left over. So it'll be interesting to see whether we're willing to push the boat out in January. Another couple of rumours just want to talk about. The even Toney rumour is still doing the rounds, but also he's interesting everybody. Arsenal, Chelsea. Apparently we are potentially interested, which would, I guess ring true if we're looking at number 9s. And Toney obviously is in a difficult place at the moment because of his betting ban. So I think it's right that we should be looking at him. He is proven in terms of scoring. And if Ange wants something different in there or to push Sonny back out to the left, then Toney would be a great option. Could we get him for a cut price deal like we did with Maddison? Anything between 40, 50, 60 million pounds. If we were willing to pay 60 million pounds for Richarlison, we should be willing to pay 60 million pounds for even Toney, if you ask me. Finally, I want to talk about another outgoing rumour. Eric Dier to Roma. To me, this seems like one of the most obvious transfers of all time. We know that Jose Mourinho loved Eric Dier when he was at Spurs. The only issue could be, will Jose still be at Roma when it comes to January? Eric Dier only has 6 months left on his contract when it comes to January. Can we get a little cut price fee like we did when Eriksen went to Inter Milan, get a few £1 million in for Eric Dier, who is not really in the pecking order under Big Ange at Spurs? I think Eric Dier's had a great career for Spurs. I think he's given unnecessary abuse a lot of the time. He's always worked hard and he's been an important cog in the change room throughout that time. But it's clear that he's not going to sign a new contract because we're not offering one, and it's probably time for us to allow him to leave. And if we can get a few million in, all the better. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments below what you think of those transfer rumours. What else have you heard? Ask any questions you want, and please subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube, and if you're following on Apple Podcasts or any of your podcast platforms, drop a little comment, and thank you so much for listening and watching. See you next time.